are available on YouTube. Please subscribe. Just search Council Sports Talk on YouTube. Click on the subscribe button. Make sure you leave comments anytime you look at any of our videos. Make sure you share. Follow us on Twitter at Council Talk. Follow on Instagram at Council Sports Talk _2 Joes. No?
That's right. Council _ Sports Talk 2 Joes.
All right. Got that fixed. I got that fixed. Okay. Who's that? Who's that, Tris?
Yeah, you hear him?
I hear him.
It's bedtime.
Oh, he's turning up.
And he don't want to go.
All right, you going to kick us off?
He ain't trying to sleep.
And why would he? Why would he ever want to sleep?
You can't sleep with Daddy yelling in the next room talking about roll tide. Can't go to sleep.
Yeah, I know.
All right, NFL. Current Monday Night Football, Titans and the Cowboys. Titans at Dallas, currently tied 14-14 at the half. From Thursday night, the Bay Area battle of two ridiculously bad teams.
It's a battle?
The battle for the Bay. This was a nice setup, right? Bay Area, two bad teams, both of them bad records, the two worst teams in the NFL. So the Battle of the Bay was for the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. The 49ers.
Oh, no, don't forget Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be a couple others because a couple of people are going to slide. The 49ers 34, Raiders 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to call the council butt whooping of the week. 34-3. I was listening to some Raider fans, and they weren't upset about necessarily losing the game. They were upset about the fact they lost to San Francisco the way that they did. What ended up happening, Nick Mullins had a career game, actually his first start of his career, an Ole Miss product. He was 16 for 22, 262 yards. He had 3 TDs. Raheem Mostert had 7 carries for 86 yards and 1 TD. He ended up breaking his arm in the winning effort. And George Kittle continued his winning ways with 4 receptions, 108 yards and 1 TD. On the other side, David Carr, 16 for 21, 171 yards and nothing else. Doug Martin had 11 carries, 49 yards. Jalen Richard had 4 receptions for 45 yards. And as far as the wide receivers for the Raiders, there was really nothing there for them. I mean, they're in full rebuild mode. Nobody was aware of this. Obviously, John Gruden knew, but they just been getting rid of everybody, cutting people left and right.
I think they should get rid of John Gruden, actually. Before it's too late.
I feel like if he were just honest with people, people probably wouldn't have dogged him as much as they did for the first 7-8 weeks of the year. We were expecting more.
Oh, yeah, I remember that Gruden did say that he ain't gonna fully take the money if he's a failure.
Really?
Really?
$100 million? You walking away from $100 million?
Yeah.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, really. The other interesting note at this game, T.O. received his Hall of Fame ring at halftime. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, he got it from the 49ers, huh? That's his home team now.
Yeah, that's his
good deal.
His original team. So
good deal. I'm happy for T.O.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a little misunderstood.
Yeah, I don't know if he's misunderstood. I'm just happy for him.
I think he misunderstood sometimes.
Yeah, he was understood, exactly.
Yeah. We understand you. You're a jerk.
Yeah.
Let's go back to John Gruden for a hot second, though.
All
right. This weekend they just released Bruce Irvin, was their sack leader.
Yeah.
For this year. I mean, really, what is Gruden do?
What could possibly be his plan?
Preserve the loss.
What could possibly be his plan?
They don't want to win. That's what it is.
Well, let's just take this. Remember what Parcells said when he was in New England, about the groceries.
Yeah.
Him having to purchase the groceries.
Yeah.
Right? If you want him to cook the food, let me buy the groceries.
Yeah, but he giving away the groceries.
but just think about it. Think about how many first round picks he has this upcoming draft, right? So if these players are not your type players, so allegedly he said that Bruce Irving in the game against San Francisco, Bruce Irving played like 5 snaps, right? And the reason he said that he played that little bit of snaps is because of the fact that they were behind and the type of rusher that Bruce Irving was. They were in nickel, and Bruce Irving doesn't play nickel. So, I mean, I cheer him on one side, but on the other side, come on, man.
Nah, well, you always going to be in nickel? You're always going to be behind, so...
He doesn't want to win, and obviously they didn't want to tell the fan
Right.
base.
Now, I get it. I get it if you want to tank.
But tell me that.
No.
No,
I can't
wanna know.
tell you that.
No.
But
Yeah, you can't tell that.
but I also shouldn't be tanking if I have a 26-year-old franchise quarterback.
Well, I don't really see where it makes a difference if you tell. You don't have to say we're going to lose every game, but you can say we're not expecting to probably do a whole lot because you're trying to go to Vegas. That's where you're setting your team up for Vegas. All it's going to do is make you look bad as the owner and the coach when you make people their expectations are high and you have decent players. You don't play them like you're supposed to, and then you cut them.
Yeah.
It's worse.
No, to me, if this was the plan, he should have came in day one with, this is my trade block, Khalil Mack, Bruce Irving, all these guys you can have. You don't wait until you get into the season.
He should have traded them before the draft.
Right. So that's why I don't believe that this is actually a plan to acquire multiple draft picks. I think he's just not really a good coach, and he's seeing how difficult it is to actually win games.
And he just doesn't get along with anybody.
Yeah.
On the defensive side of the ball, offensive side of the ball, like I don't know. I don't know what happens next.
All right. At Buffalo, Bears.
But
Go ahead.
think about it for a second, yo. Considering that he has received at minimum in this upcoming, he got 3 first-round draft picks. I mean, that's not bad.
It's not, but how far away? That's going to be 3 years before those guys are ready to play.
And they may not be any good.
And they may not be any good.
I mean, no doubt, I agree with you. But if you're not going to pay Khalil Mack, right, and then you don't think that Amari Cooper is as good as everyone thinks he is, to achieve 2 first-round draft picks for them, that's as best as you can get, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well.
I mean, what more could he have gotten?
Well, at this point, you might as well trade Derek Carr.
Well, don't sell out to Derek Carr because he thinks he's there. He said he knows he's the quarterback for that team.
I would say it's not too early, but it is. But at the end of the season, that may happen.
I mean, if what you're doing now is admitting that you're on a 4-year plan.
Yeah.
Why keep Derek Carr? Why not? If you're going to be back in the draft, to me, when you take over a roster that has Derek Carr as your quarterback, there's never a season where you should be thinking that we're not about to make the playoffs. All you should be doing every season is putting as much protection and foundation around him as possible. You should be looking at every season as 8 wins, worst case scenario, if Derek Carr is your quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, they've got nothing now.
Right.
They got nothing. So.
And they weren't too far from being a good playoff team anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he's doing.
It's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets fired at the end of the year.
Last year.
That's my point. They weren't too far. So, I mean, all he's doing is collecting the check to me.
It is. It makes no sense because you can't even look to any example of what's happening so you can identify what's happening. You know what I'm saying? You can't be like, oh, no problem. He's just rebuilding.
Is he too far removed from the game? I mean, because he's been out the game for, 10 years?
Yeah.
How long has he been out?
It's been a while.
Yeah, so,
He left. He been out since Keyshawn Johnson played.
And the game has superseded him. Bypassed.
And that may be true because, I mean, how many Spider 2 wide bananas can you call? That's all I ever hear him
It's
talk about.
the spider wide banana.
That's it. And everybody knows that play.
No, because he keeps
Everybody
talking about
knows
it.
his play.
He keeps talking about it.
He's a joke.
Yeah, and this also goes to the thing like having a coach that wants to control the player personnel decisions too.
Yeah.
It's got to be a strong balance because a lot of guys, man, they don't like a guy for whatever reason. They just don't stick with
Right.
people. They
No,
quit
but
on them.
but usually they want all the players, and that's the problem they run into. He's getting rid of all the players.
He's generous.
He's and I get to Amari because at his age, I can see you say, okay, he's going to be a great receiver, but he doesn't really fit the system, or he's young enough for me to get a lot for him. I'm going to move him because I can really replace a number one wide receiver. They're floating all over the league.
They weren't throwing the ball to him. I can see if you threw the ball to him 10 times a game and he didn't produce and drop 9 of them. He was getting targeted maybe once.
Right.
Or none. Nothing.
All right. The lowly Bills welcome the Bears. Bears kicked that butt 41-9.
Yeah,
Bears now 5-3. Bills 2-7.
Well, the Bears put in work, man. That defense.
It was all defense.
They had at least two touchdowns on D.
Next week, they get the Lions next week, so they get
that's gonna be a treat. That's gonna be an early Christmas gift right there. But Mitch Trubisky, we're giving up on the Lions. We're gonna get to them in a minute, man. Mitch Trubisky, man, you just got me depressed, man. Could the Lions even beat Alabama? I think the Lions.
I heard a little roar.
Whatever. Mitch Trubisky with 12 for 20, 135 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, and Jordan Howard had 14 carries for 47 yards and 2 TDs. He obviously didn't have to do too much because the defense did the rest. Nathan Peterman was 31 on 31 attempts, had 49 yards, 189 yards, 3 INTs, 8 carries, 46 yards, and 1 TD. So, yeah.
Hold on, Joe.
Yeah.
I saw something on Twitter the other day. What's the dude quarterback from? I think he played for Florida State before. Was it before Jameis Winston? And Manuel,
EJ Manuel, yeah.
Did you see the tweet that he sent out?
Ooh,
yeah.
It's got to be good though. I haven't seen it, but it's got to be good.
Yeah,
it was like,
I saw it.
How is this guy still in the league?
Yes,
throwing.
They would have never allowed me to throw this many interceptions.
4 INTs a game.
Right. I didn't even realize EJ Manuel was gone.
Well, listen, I think EJ Manuel belongs in the league, but the reason he didn't throw interceptions because he didn't throw the ball. he would be 3 for 6, 50 yards,
right.
10 sacks.
Right.
But I'm not saying he's garbage.
But he's totally right though.
But
he's totally
it's a
right.
fact. It's a fact. He does belong in the league. He belongs in the league, but. Yeah, because I had EJ Manuel on one of my fantasy teams, and it was like having a loaded gun.
But I think the question should more rely on not does EJ Manuel belong in the league, but why is Nathan Peterman in the league?
Right. Well, I like the question of why EJ Manuel is not in the league when you got all of these garbage backups and number 3 quarterbacks.
Well, you know where EJ was before they cut him last, right? With the Raiders.
He was the Raiders.
He was with the Raiders, and he said that he did everything he's supposed to do. He didn't even badmouth Gruden. He was just matter of fact, he was on Fox Sports with Colin Cowherd, and he was just talking about he thought he would make the team, but he didn't. But nobody else called either.
Wow.
So
that's ridiculous.
Hey, but think about it. You knew John Gruden was going downhill when he got rid of Marquette King. Y'all know who Marquette King is?
That's the punter, right?
The punter, that black punter.
Yeah.
He was like a Pro Bowler, wasn't he?
Marquette used to dance. He used to dance when he would kick. Yeah.
But how you gonna cut your Pro Bowler?
Right. A punter, like they're not floating around. Great punters don't come around.
He probably didn't like the way he danced. That's all.
Man, you better get with it.
Wow. The Kansas City Chiefs over the Browns, 37-21. Chiefs now 8-1. Browns 2-6-1.
Man, Pat Money Mahomes. Go ahead.
Ain't super sorry like the Bills.
Well, the Browns are about to be sorry.
Overtime. If they had a field goal kicker, they would have probably won those.
True.
Duke Johnson had a pretty good game.
Right.
He did. Duke had 9 receptions, 78 yards, 2 TDs.
And I think this new offensive coordinator might get him a little more involved in the offense.
Yeah.
And may, get a little spark going.
Yeah, the Browns did play better, but, I mean, there's nothing you can do when you run into Mahomes. I mean, 3 TDs.
Yeah, they ran to Kansas City.
375 yards. But then Kareem Hunt, 17 carries, 91 yards, 2 TDs.
Hunt, Mahomes.
Catch in the air, 50 yards, 1 TD. Travis Kelce, 7 catches, 99
Travis
yards.
Kelce is officially the best touchdown dancer in the NFL.
He may be actually he is the best tight end. He's your best.
I
tight end.
love it when he scores
Yeah.
because he brings it back. He will do the running man, the real running man.
Yeah.
I thought I saw him doing the WAP yesterday.
Yeah, don't that man can dance.
He did.
He did, right?
Yeah, he can dance. So that's
Stay with Kansas City very quick in the second year Mahomes guy.
yeah.
This is very impressive. I know Andy Reid is there. I know Andy Reid is probably the perfect fit for him. The way Andy Reid schemes offenses and things and knows how to use the talents of running backs a la Brian Westbrook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from way back. I think that Mahomes just landed in a great system for his talent.
I know. Well, they went and got him.
Arm.
They went and got him. So he and again, I find fault with a lot of these general managers and coaches. Like they always miss because there's this big narrative about who the top quarterbacks in the draft are. Patrick Mahomes, he was not one of the top 2 or 3, if I recall correctly. But the Chiefs made a move to go up in the draft and picked him still ahead of where everybody else had him rated.
And everybody was surprised. They're like, whoa, hold up.
Right.
Pat Mahomes?
Andy Reid knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Yeah, he found it.
Right.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm sure Joe has always brought this point up. The bitter Lions fan always looks at, okay, this guy's in year 2, Stafford's in year 10. Stafford's getting $100 million. What's wrong with this picture right here?
You know what, man? I just think that Andy Reid knows the type of player that he wants. From McNabb to Michael Vick to Mahomes, these are guys that who?
But you know what? Mahomes, to me, Mahomes is better than all of them because of the arm talent.
Yeah.
Right? So because of his arm talent and his pocket awareness, we don't even realize that if he wanted to get up out of the pocket and start running, he would be gone.
Yeah.
I have never seen a player as athletic as this that never runs.
Because his arm is that nasty.
And now he's doing ridiculous stuff like running full speed sideline to sideline, throwing the ball underhand, finding any angle possible to get rid of a ball. He's like Brett Favre.
Don't forget throwing the ball with his left hand.
Right.
Yes.
Right. He's like Brett Favre with a 4.6 40.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a gunslinger.
People like Mahomes, quarterbacks like Mahomes, learn from their mistakes too.
Yeah.
Even through his losses, he's that type of player.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Hey, but I don't really think Detroit's problem is their quarterback. Matthew Stafford is not your problem.
Hold on. We're about to get to Detroit. Okay. Before we get to Detroit, Dolphins beat the Jets 13-6. Dolphins at home. They go to 5-4. Jets go to 3-6.
Yeah, that was my snoozer of the week.
Yes.
I'm just gonna run through these stats real quick. If y'all follow,
you know what? You don't even really have to run through the stats. I'll
there.
just finish this one off. The Sam Darnold thing. The Sam Darnold thing. Everybody's in love with him. If the Jets had Teddy Bridgewater right now, they would be still in contention.
Yes, and he leads the NFL in with 10 interceptions.
I think he's got 14 now.
14?
He has 14 picks now. And, it's early. You don't know. He could turn out to be, a great player 2-3 years down the road. But the Jets on this
football game against the Lions are gone.
The Jets on this constant chase for a quarterback might have set themselves back a couple more years. Now the list is moving up for Mark Sanchez, extending Mark Sanchez, Geno Smith, Bryce Petty, second-round pick, never saw the field, Christian Hackenberg, late first round, top of the second round pick, never saw the field, and now doing it again for Sam Darnold.
I don't understand why you wouldn't give Bridgewater the ball, let him play
You
at
had
least half the
Bridgewater.
season.
You had
right?
Bridgewater.
I mean, y'all would at least be a couple
Right.
games over 500.
What's
in
the
my
rush to
opinion.
get this kid in the game?
Nah,
Let him
learn.
sit for a year or
Let
two.
him-
You got Bridgewater.
Yeah, let him learn, or if you want to bring him in toward the end of the year, if
Right.
you think the year is over.
Right. And Bridgewater is so young that you still don't know his top level.
That's right.
He's still developing.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you had a chance to get
He has not peaked
Right.
out, but I guess they thought it was water under the bridge.
Doing too much.
right.
It's the Danny Ainge syndrome.
It's
You got too much to work with.
it's crazy.
O'Neal missed that.
In NFC North action, the aforementioned Detroit Lions travel to Minnesota and take the L. Vikings 24, Lions 9. Vikings now go to 5-3-1. Lions fall to 3-6.
Man, the entire Detroit coaching staff just poured gasoline on their seats because that hot seat is warming up. Again, before I get into the stats, we did exactly what I said we can't do. We did not establish our identity. We did not run the ball. Kerryon Johnson had 12 carries for 37 yards. So you don't run the ball.
But Joe,
Yeah.
your identity is not that of a running football team.
Well,
That's the problem.
what was
You
it, a
don't-
passing
you don't
team?
Establish yourself as a running team when your offensive line is not made up of maulers.
Well, but he,
Your offensive line is not a running type offensive line.
but this is the
So,
thing.
O'Neal, let
They
us
built.
correct you real quick.
Yeah, fix that.
Let us correct you real quick.
Go ahead, go ahead.
The GM's in Detroit main goal was to revamp that O line. We put most of the salary cap is into the offensive line. Guess who we picked first in the draft?
Number one pick.
I know it was a center from
Went
Arkansas
out and got-
playing guard who was not even a first round pick.
So we went out and got T.J. Lane, drafted the Ohio State. What's the Ohio State offensive lineman?
Was it Decker?
Last
Is it
year.
Price?
Decker, right?
Oh,
No,
Decker.
Yeah.
Got T.J. Lane. Went and drafted this guy here. So our
Ragnow, Frank
Ragnow.
Ragnow.
Frank
Ragnow, yeah.
He was the best. He was the best run creator, run blocker in the draft. So, and he's done good. If you look at the stats, he's done good. If you look at was it Pro Football Stats?
Yeah, he's
done
doing
very
well. And we drafted a running back.
He is nasty. He has no fear.
Right.
So we have established game. The problem is, if you watch Lions games, is that we waste carries on Blount. Blount has lost a half a step. And so all his carries, he has 6 yards, averaging 1.7 carries a game. 6 carries, averaging 1.7 yards, hardly goes anywhere. As soon as you put Kerryon Johnson in the game, he moves the chains.
Right.
He's getting positive yards all the time. So somehow they got some kind of backdoor deal with Blount. They promised him a lot at the signing table, and Patricia.
Yeah.
So he gives him these carries instead of just bringing a dude in at the goal line. And we don't even need him at the goal line, to be honest with you. Kerryon Johnson mauls
Right.
people.
Right.
You know the irony
He's
to
a
that.
special talent.
the
Kerryon
I-
Johnson's a-
But you got to understand, Juan, even though a running back may, when they enter into the game, get so many yards per carry, you also have to consider the number of times they carry the ball. You can't expect them to get that same yards per carry. I mean, maybe in preseason or maybe in practice, they realize, well, I could be wrong. They realize, you know what, we don't need to wear this guy down.
Well, you're
Because when he was at Auburn, he didn't get that many carries anyway.
because they had too many players
So
on their
he may
team.
not have that history.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. He may not have that history. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. They built this team in the offseason saying we're going to bring a line in, we're going to bring running backs in that can run the ball. And so since you did that, and we obviously, I mean, it's a different line than we had the year before, you have to go to it to see if it works. And every game that we've won this year, which is only 2, we've run the ball at least 20, 25 times. you got to pound the rock. When we give the ball to Matt Stafford, obviously he's not able to do it. He needs some help. We need the play action game. We need to set the tempo, and our defense isn't good enough. So you got to run the ball. Either way you look, I'd rather lose if we ran the ball 30 times and just take the loss instead of coming out every week tossing balls around, and then we can't stop anybody. We get run off the field by halftime, because that's what's going on. Because Kirk Cousins came out last week, had 18 for 22, 164 yards, 1 TD. Dalvin Cook had 89 yards on the ground. And man, really the story of the day was the defense is what really killed us. Matt Stafford got sacked 10 times.
Yeah, that's a Vikings record 10 times.
He held the ball 2 seconds longer per possession every single time he dropped back. You saw that stat.
Right.
Than normal.
Right. So, and then let's not forget the trade that we made. Yeah, we traded Golden Tate, thinking that was a good thing. I don't even know if it made a difference or not. I just know.
And a quick note on that: Brandon Marshall is trying out for the Lions today.
I heard about that. He'll probably be.
So you traded Golden Tate from a team that already had 3 wins, 3-4 team. Traded Golden Tate in a division that was technically up for grabs.
Give O'Neal anything else to laugh at?
He laughs at everything.
I mean, y'all can at least done what New Orleans did and try out Dan Bryant.
Right.
But this is my thing, O'Neal. If you bring in Brandon Marshall, bring in Calvin Johnson back. I'm retiring him.
Right.
Yeah, Calvin's smart. He ain't coming back.
Why would Calvin do that?
Calvin ain't coming back.
I mean, why would we want Brandon Marshall?
Yeah, well, at this point, I don't know what the Lions are going to do. I think me and Juan are in agreement that whatever happens, and we're okay with it.
Are you? Because you're not really even tanking. You're going to end up 6 and 8
because
and 6 and 10.
Coaches are going to try to save their jobs, and
Wow.
that's what's going to hurt the team.
Yeah, this is it's a bad situation.
Lions games, y'all will see the low football IQ of this new coach and offensive coordinator.
Wow,
it's bad.
I believe it. Moving on. In Washington, D.C., the Atlanta Falcons get a much-needed victory, 38-14 over the Redskins. Redskins 5-3, Falcons 4-4. This is one of those.
So these Redskins fans here can stop talking Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is one of those games that I like to call not a must-win scenario. This is a must-win situation, right? So the difference is a must-win scenario. Mathematically, you got to win, right? A must-win situation is these type of games in the middle of the season where a win can make you 5-3 instead of 4-4, and a loss can make you 3-5, right? So every win-loss combination at this part in the season is big. Falcons coming in absolutely had to have a win. The Redskins, if they won, would have put themselves in a position to be in first place going into the second half of the season. So Falcons pulled it out 38-14 over the Skins.
This game was all about the Iceman. Matt Ryan stepped up, 350 yards, 4 TDs, only 1 interception. Tevin Coleman helped out on the ground with 88 yards. In the air, Tevin Coleman had 5 receptions, 68 yards, and 2 TDs.
And don't forget the contributions of Ito Smith.
Oh, Ito did put in some work off the bench. But the big name of the day was Julio Jones, who had his first TD, I think, in 12 games, had 7 receptions, 121 yards. Calvin Ridley also had 6 receptions before he got hurt and 1 TD. On the other side, Alex Smith was 30 for 46, 306 yards and 1 TD. That's the type of numbers I expect from him with his 1 interception. Mm-hmm. And a gentleman by the name of Maurice Harris had 10 receptions, 124 yards. So we hopefully will hear.
Hello, Maurice Harris. We've never heard of you before, but welcome.
But there's something y'all are overlooking. In this game, Washington lost 3 offensive players for the rest of the season.
For the offensive line. Yeah.
And they already had 2 offensive linemen out in the game. They lost Paul Richardson and 2 offensive linemen.
Ooh. Yeah. One of them got wheeled off in a wheelchair, so that might be, and that's bad news.
One got a torn pec, and the other one, I don't know his knee, and then Paul Richardson, his knee out. They both on IR.
That might be the season right there.
Right. You can play with a torn pec though.
Really?
It's gonna hurt a lot.
As an offensive lineman?
Nah, you can't. Not as an offensive lineman. They'll torch you. They'll run you over.
You take a shot, you're good.
No, but that's
Nah, what are you talking about? What kind of sorcery you dealing with a torn pec on the line? Man, you be toast. That'd be probably mess your other pec up. All right, on to the next game.
The Bucks and the Panthers in Carolina. Panthers get the W, 42-28. Panthers now 6-2. Bucks now 3-5.
All right, we running low on time, so I'm going to go in and jump on this real quick. Long and short of it, Cam Newton came out, had a great game, 19 for 25, 247 yards and 2 TDs. Christian McCaffrey had 17 carries, 79 yards, 2 TDs. And Adam Humphries had 8 receptions, 82 yards, and 2 TDs. The story of the game, Fitzmagic came out. He tried, but when you can't stop a team defensively with your defense,
And you can't keep up.
you don't stand a chance.
Right.
So he made a couple of small mistakes, but it wasn't anything that really should have technically cost him the loss.
Right.
Their defense was
Now,
so bad.
Who is Cam's number 1 receiver these days?
It might be Chris McCaffrey. A couple notes about
Yes.
it's going to be McCaffrey or Calvin Benjamin. It's not Calvin Benjamin. It's the other big one. Funches.
Nah, Funches ain't there
Greg
anymore.
Olsen.
Olsen.
All right.
Yeah, but I'm just making a point. Like Russell Wilson and Cam, I always don't think they have anybody to throw to like that.
Mm-hmm.
On as far as receivers, they
Yeah.
they tight end, yeah, but as far as receivers,
Nah.
Well,
Tight end.
well, I'm a big fan of Christian McCaffrey. I think he's the full package, and I think he's a step away from turning into Marshall Faulk 2.0. The question about him running between the tackles, I mean, he's running between the tackles really, really, really well. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, his stats so far this year, 502 yards rushing, 378 yards receiving, right? And as he becomes more and more and more involved into the offense, I think they're going to get to a point where next year he's really going to take on a load, and you're going to see 1,500, 2,000 yard kind of player. He has the full package. He's one of the rare running backs that can go the distance. He can run between the tackles. He breaks tackles. He catches. He makes people miss after the catch.
I don't know about that, man. The thing, I do think he is a full.
Agree either.
I think he's a full package in that he can catch and run. He can do all those different things. But they're gonna have to be very careful with him because one lick and he might get crunched up.
What do you think about him compared to Reggie Bush?
I think he's better than Reggie Bush, obviously.
I think they're the same player. I think they're the same
but Reggie
player.
couldn't take a hit either. But Reggie was trying to run people over, and that's why he kept getting hurt.
Right.
'Cause we used to call him porcelain in Detroit. He kept breaking like every 5 minutes,
Now,
broke.
if you were to say 1,500, 2,000 yards from scrimmage,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
rushing yards.
No. But he could do that if they gave him 200 carries, 250
He wouldn't
carries.
make it. He better stay away from them tackles because he's gonna get waxed.
No way.
Running across the middle.
You gotta realize that Cam is your quarterback / running back.
Yes.
You're not giving Christian McCaffrey no 20-something carries.
You put
a
him.
day.
You put him
Okay.
in
That's
space.
not gonna happen.
In space, he's unguardable. So that's the value in him, and I think
Right.
North Turner is gonna maximize that. I mean, you could run it between the tackles if you want to.
Well, we'll
but-
see. We'll see how it develops because I think he's getting to the point where he's taking a big load on the offense from the offense. The other point I want to make about this game:
Okay.
Cam Newton is a top 5 quarterback, and he's not getting credit.
Say again?
Cam Newton is a top 5 quarterback.
I can go with that. Okay, let's think about the top 5.
Quarterback.
Mahomes.
No, not yet. He's having a top 5 season. If I'm talking about top 5 quarterbacks, it's Brady, it's Rodgers, it's Breeze at the top 3.
You talking about top 5 all time, or you talking?
No.
About,
I'm talking about
Right now,
the combination of how great you are today
Uh-huh.
and your history, which says to me that you can be depended on. Right? Pat Mahomes,
okay,
I might
okay.
not be ready to put
You're
Pat
not sure to
Mahomes
depend. Okay.
into a playoff situation
That's
comfortably. You're going into a playoff situation with Pat Mahomes like, all right, this is his first playoff experience. Can't wait for it to be over so he can move on to the next. But in terms of
don't know
who
about
you
that.
taking to win a playoff game, it's you. The list is Brady, it's Breeze, it's Rodgers.
I'd rather put the ball in Pat's hand before I give it to Cam in the playoffs.
So you would put Pat Mahomes in the top 5 right
No
now.
way. Pat ain't never been in the playoffs.
I'd give it to him. You
Okay.
throwing 4 TDs a week, I'd give him a shot. I'm cool with it.
Okay, Juan, what am I?
But who are your top 5?
Brady, 1, Breeze,
Yes.
2, Rodgers, 3, and then I want to go Cam, 4, and maybe Russell Wilson, 5. I might be missing somebody.
What about Phillip Rivers?
Nah.
Matty Ice?
Top 10s.
Nah. Top 10.
I'll take Russ over both of them.
Yeah. But Matt has some really good days, and he's got some really bad ones. I don't know. I'm not.
Been to the championship game. He was MVP. Like, really?
Over who?
I'm just saying, Matty Ice has been
Yeah.
into the
1 year.
I've seen him fail
One
a
good
lot.
year.
I've seen him fail a lot.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I would give the ball to Mahomes at least this year before I give it to Cam. Not to say that he's not a top 5 talent, because I do think he's one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. It's just a personal preference thing for me.
Phillip Rivers?
Nah,
Put them ahead. Put
Fielding has.
Rivers behind them?
I like Phillip Rivers. I love Phillip Rivers, but I think Cam is better right now.
Yeah, he's playing better
Yeah,
ball.
I don't think Phil Rivers is in his prime right now.
This is true, but even in Phillip Rivers' prime, he was not top 5.
Do you see his stats?
He's
stats,
beasting.
His stats say
He's
top
beasting.
5. But
I'm
He's
just saying,
beasting.
man. I mean,
But Phillip Rivers needs playoff success to be in this conversation.
okay. Now, but the reason why he does is not solely on him. Now, I get it. As a quarterback, you win or die based off of what you do in the playoffs.
A 12-year veteran quarterback, 12 years or so.
But look at his playoff stats. Dude has been balling. He's balling
Yeah.
in the playoffs.
Yeah, I like him, but you gotta have some playoff W's in that conversation. If I can put you in a group with Breeze, Brady, Rodgers, and even Cam and Russell, who have significant playoff success, you gotta have playoff wins.
And I don't know, man.
And Phil
Jam.
is not there. I like the Bolo, but Phil's not there. He should be. It's not his fault even.
Ben Roethlisberger, you putting him over Ben Roethlisberger?
yeah,
Yeah, I would say, yep.
Come on, man. Y'all tripping.
Ben has slipped a little bit. I might put Ben over Russ and put Ben in the top 5 over Russ.
You just said the stats you just said.
nah. Ben is struggling in the playoffs, man.
Yeah.
The last 4 or 5 years. But I
Yeah.
don't say 4 because they won the championship. Now.
Ben, to say Ben has slipped, his stats don't tell you that.
No, but his games
the
do.
wins and losses do in the playoffs.
But it's because of their defense, not because of him.
Yeah.
Their
No, you're right.
defense is not the Pittsburgh defense.
You're right.
That's true.
I'm a big Ben Roethlisberger fan, but I have seen slippage in the last couple years. So that's why I
Where?
pulled him down a little bit.
And with Cam, he's been even keeled, or he's been
No, he's been up and down, definitely.
This year he's back
You're
with
right.
North. North Turner's
right.
helping a lot.
You're right. All right.
I don't know, man. I
Um,
like Cam. Now, don't get me wrong.
Hey, yo, I want to slide a stat in there. I think that's good under the radar.
go ahead.
That's significant. Frank Gore. Did y'all see that he
Yeah, he passed Barry Sanders.
he passed Barry Sanders for total yards for scrimmage.
Wow.
So this is the company he's with. So most yards scrimmage in NFL history: Jerry Rice, Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton number 3, Marshall Faulk number 4, LaDainian number 5, Frank Gore, then Barry Sanders.
Wow.
I guess you played for 89 years. You should pass somebody.
Played at a high level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, catching and running.
Frank
So-
is put in work.
So we're pressed for time. So here's what's going to happen. I'm gonna go through these last sets of NFL scores. If there's any notable statistics or performances that you want to mention, Joe, jump in, and then we're just gonna wrap the whole group instead of it being game by game.
Let's do it.
All right. Steelers beat conference rival Baltimore Ravens 20-3-16. Ravens fall to 4-6. Steelers go to 5-2-1. A lot of plays in this game for Lamar Jackson. A lot of unclutch play for the incumbent quarterback Joe Flacco. Big game. Really needed a win there against your rival in the division. Playing for pretty much first place in the division. Flacco comes up short.
They're saying Harbaugh is there's a chance he could lose his job. They're talking that stuff right now.
If they're talking that stuff right now, then Flacco's on his way out because he's not going to lose his job with Lamar Jackson on the bench.
I also heard something else interesting, too. I heard that Harbaugh is considering letting Lamar Jackson run a full series by himself, like just with no pulling him in and out. So who knows?
Right. The Texans, big victory over the Broncos, 19-17. Texans now 6-3. Broncos 3-6.
Broncos blew that field goal at the end of the game, and put another coach on the hot seat. Vance Joseph. Elway came out today, said no, he's not going to get rid of Vance. He's going to ride with him. So hopefully Vance can pull it out. But that was a very, very close game. Came down to the wire.
The Los Angeles Chargers, a 25-17 victory over Seattle at Seattle. The Seahawks fall to 4-4. Chargers now 6-2.
Man, this game was actually very.
Seattle.
Yeah, it was, but it was it was an interesting game, close game. They had a chance, and then Russ threw his third pick six of his career, and that's when they went down. And I thought it was pretty much over, but they managed to get the ball back down the field again, down 8, and they had a couple of drop balls, couple penalties, and ended up losing that game.
Bunch of drop balls. This is one of those games. Russ is playing uphill. He's playing uphill, everything that he could possibly do to stay in and to try to pull out a victory. And, again, this is one of those must-win situations where they really needed the win to give them a little cushion. Now they fall back to 500.
At every position either.
Russ been playing uphill for the past 3 years.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they have nobody else. It's just him.
In the matchup of the week in the NFC, the 8-1 Rams, actually the previously undefeated Rams, fall to the Saints, 45-35. Saints 7-1 now. Rams 8-1.
The Rams needed to go ahead and get that first loss out the way because it's nothing. Well, it's one thing to have a good team and have a lot of buzz, but to have that undefeated thing hanging on your back, it drags you down, especially if you carry it into the playoffs. But with that said, they just really couldn't. They couldn't keep up with the Saints and their defense. They're missing Aqib Talib. I want to see how they look when he comes back. I think it'll be a different matchup come playoff time. But I do know that the Saints put everybody on notice that they are a problem.
The New England Patriots with a 31-17 win on Sunday Night Football over the Packers. Patriots now 7-2. Packers 3-4. And one note from that game, Cordell Patterson is now a running back, and he looks unstoppable.
Until he takes that first hit. Because there's not.
Between the tackles, bro. They're running in between the tackles.
The thing is, he's so fast, he hits the hole that he's gone.
Yeah.
But there's going to be one time somebody going to catch him with them tippy toes.
This is what's scary about LeGarrette Blount. Patricia felt he had the experience with Blount and wanted to bring him with him. But you take him out of the context of the Patriots, what is he?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Cordell Patterson had, I don't know what he had in terms of yardage yesterday, but he might have had 60 yards rushing on like 10 carries between the tackles.
Oh yeah, he was.
And I saw him kept gaining yards. I was like, okay, the first time I thought it was luck, but the third time I was like, okay, this dude is gaining yards.
Right. He looks like he could be a running back, a great one.
Let me tell you something.
Like at 6'4".
He ran for 61 yards.
Right.
On 11 carries, but he can keep that up. He's going to get broke up. I guarantee you.
But you know what?
Because to be able to run like a running back, that's different.
It is.
lower your pad level. And as a wide receiver, you don't necessarily know that. Or as a kick returner or punt returner, you don't necessarily know that.
Right.
So he get one good lick on him, that's a wrap.
All she wrote. We talking about
He can't hide behind the line because he's too tall.
bruised.
Well, he's
bum.
6'2". He's 6'2", 220. So that's a big running back. But that's Eddie George.
Eddie without the muscle.
Exactly.
Now, if he get on the Mike Bibby
Yeah.
diet,
Or the experience.
he get the Mike Bibby
Yeah.
diet going, and he can do a full-time running back.
Any thoughts on all the games that we said or the NFL in total at this point? Gentlemen, anything? Crick, crick, crick.
Nothing.
Nada.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. In the NBA
I know
currently.
The game on TV right now is pissing me off.
21-14 Tennessee.
Come on.
Tennessee's a
Remember the
sneaky
fight.
team, man. They play a really sloppy style of ball, but they grind, man. Tennessee, you look up and you're like, man, how they up 7 or how's the game tied? They
Exactly.
yeah, they play crazy ball. So